We played them in the third game. Everybody played three quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Thanks, Coach. Matt Liner.
Welcome to the fourth episode of the RTF Show. I am Michael, your host, alongside John. What's up, John? How you doing?
That was especially
Yeah.
the thanks, Coach, at the end. That was
The thanks, Coach, is really what makes that clip. Today, we are recording this Friday, October 16th. Today is the 14th anniversary of the Cardinals-Bears game that inspired that wonderful speech by Dennis Green, the improbable comeback by the Bears. Really, I'm wearing my Nathan Basher jersey from that year to really shout out that Super Bowl team. Not a Super Bowl winner, but Super Bowl contender or Super Bowl participant. Thought we'd share some of that past glory with you. Quite a fun year, or fun game.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get down to it today. So no special guests today. We're gonna keep it in the traditional format, just get a little bit of content out to you guys for the weekend. And so you got something to do tomorrow and get you ready for Sunday. And Monday, and possibly even Tuesday. Who knows? That's a great place to start. Tuesday night football. John, what'd you think of that?
Well, I thought the Titans looked great for not having practiced for 2 weeks.
Well, they did practice, so.
They did have that workout. Yes, that did happen. But I guess you don't need to practice to beat the Bills, but.
No, apparently not. That's a rough loss for the Bills, but so to be honest, I think it's a good loss for the Bills. I think if they're going to lose, that's a good way for them to lose, right? Get embarrassed on Tuesday night on a game that everybody's watching because it's on some random night. I think it helps them long term. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the britches were getting a little big, as they say anyway, and some of those losses can help a young quarterback like Josh Allen remember what he needs to do to be successful, and he was making quite a few throws that were into tight coverage, and I think it's a good reminder for them that they're still on the upswing, and there's that team looks dominant for years to come, but have to have those learning moments.
What did you think of that Titans team, or Titans team? Yeah, I was impressed.
Very impressed. I was just about had a heart attack with Derrick Henry scoring that touchdown and almost handing me my fourth loss. But thankfully they pulled him at the end of the game. But as someone who has heavily invested in the Titans across multiple leagues, I loved it. I thought they're great. The offense looks smooth. They look great without Corey Davis. If Corey Davis could just not come back, I would be more than happy as someone who's had Corey Davis in years past. Yeah, he just needs to just stay away. But the offense looked great. The defense looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the defense looked pretty good at times too, and I'm impressed by Tannehill. Tannehill, I saw today, he didn't miss a single throw in the red zone, which is, against a very good Bills defense, is impressive to see.
Yeah. I saw another stat that was comparing him to Mahomes. Of the last 14 games that he's been a starter or something, or 14 or 17 games that he's been a starter, and that he has 3 more touchdowns with the same amount of interceptions as Mahomes, and only 70 less yards. So he's essentially Mahomes, but I don't think that they accounted for the running aspect of Mahomes. But but he's playing
Sure.
as well as the top quarterbacks in the league right now.
I picked up Tannehill this week. I had him earlier. I had drafted him and I cut him when I thought the Titans were just never going to play football again, and needed to make some space due to injuries. Keeping Jimmy Garoppolo, who I cut this week in favor of picking up Ryan Tannehill. I'm not sure Jimmy. Dude, God. Everything I read beforehand, it sounded like he was going to have a great year, but this has been a disaster.
Injury prone for sure, and that looked.
And maybe just not very good.
good.
Maybe just not very good. Well, I mean, he wasn't great last year. I know they made the Super Bowl and looked good at times, but I don't think he was the main reason they made the.
No, he wasn't asked to do much last year. I mean, with like the three-headed running attack and the defense the way it was, So I agree with that. I mean, what backup quarterback to Tom Brady has ever really done anything?
I don't know. Okay. Well, let's pop open the league here and take a look and see what we got. So, coming off a week, and I'll flip back to week 5. Coming off a week where we saw one of the most what's the word? Like, how do you describe an effort or even just a game? Because I have to be honest, my team, while we scored about 70 points, did, and I'm not going to say equally as bad, but did pretty fucking bad.
If you were playing anyone else, you would have lost. Like
yes, very much so. But Charlie put up what is, I'm sorry to tell you this, Charlie, the lowest point total I have ever seen in a fantasy football game. 17 points, 17.84 points. Getting zeros or negative points from multiple players. Nobody scored more than 7 points.
Yeah, that's less than 2 points per person. Or per unit, I guess you could say, with the defense. But that's not good. Not good, Bob.
I mean, his kicker at 4 points was the second highest scorer on his team. Matt Ryan put up a paltry 6.9 points. It was a disaster. And it was a game that had Charlie, I think, made some moves on the waiver wire in the week before and really had, invested a little bit more time in his roster here, could have won pretty easily. It doesn't help when you've got 4 guys on the Packers, both their running backs, their wide receiver and their quarterback, and they're on a bye week, which, I don't have a big problem with stacking bye weeks. I actually think in fantasy football, paying attention to bye weeks is a fool's errand. That it's better to build your roster and worry about talent and worry about points than it is to worry about bye weeks. So I don't really have a problem with that. But the problem comes when you're starting guys like, Perrine, the Jets' third running back. When you're starting, Willie Snead, that's a disaster. So embarrassing.
Not a mess. I mean, his bench though, moving once he's now Green Bay is off their bye, moving all these guys. He's got no one on their bench. Like if Aaron Jones goes down, he's right back in that same spot with Eckler out, and he's starting Frank Gore and Perrine again, which granted now one of them is a starting running back in the NFL with Bell gone, but either way you're still starting the Jets. Someone on the Jets, which outside of Jamison Crowder is not worth starting. And,
no, not at all.
And Willie Snead and Naeem Hines is a backup running back too, and he's just got backups in. I mean, if Aaron Jones or Devontae Adams' hamstring comes back, flares back up, he's in trouble, and we're going to see some more of these low point total weeks. And I did a little bit of digging into it, and between his wide receivers and his tight end, I think they saw 12 targets the whole week total, and had four catches between the
Oh
between
boy.
the three of them, and his running backs I think had less than 30 or
I mean, those four
less
catches must have been
52 yards. Yeah.
three of them must have been Neheim Hines, right?
Yep.
Or you
Yeah,
didn't?
two
Did you count him?
receptions. And
Okay.
no, two receptions. Smith had two receptions. Snead had zero.
Yeah.
And Ertz had one reception. So he had 5 receptions total
Okay.
on his entire team.
Yeah, that's rough. I don't want to pile too. I do, but I won't pile too harshly on Charlie. He has been hit with a lot of injuries. The Eckler injury, even the
Sean Jackson.
the Deshaun Jackson, who is not going to play again this week. Tariq Cohen. Not that Tariq Cohen is somebody you want to rely on heavily in fantasy, but would have been a valuable player for him to have started in this capacity. And so he's been hit, and
yeah,
I do understand that. But on the other side of the field, my decision to go with Jimmy Garoppolo over Justin Herbert, who it was a decision I thought about most of the week, and it was a bad one. But luckily, it didn't hurt me too much. The Deontay Johnson thing is something I'm very worried about. He was a guy that I was hoping was going to pop off this year and really be a guy that I might keep and sign to a contract next year. Actually, him and Michael Gallup were those two guys. And I got to be honest with you, I am terrified of what that's going to look like going forward. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, is Chase Claypool's a rookie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got 2 rookies outperforming your
well, I don't know if it's
options,
fair to say Deontay Johnson hasn't been healthy at all.
Yeah, outperforming by meaning just more production.
Yeah, I mean, right. Michael Gallup certainly has been outperformed.
Yeah, he's been,
by
which you never know. Might with the new quarterback coming in there, he might have a resurgence just based on the chemistry and everything. You've got Keenan Allen hurt. Keenan
Allen should be fine by the time he comes back. The Michael Thomas thing hopefully is over after this bye week. The bye week switching around with Keenan Allen actually turned out to be a good thing. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But let's keep it moving. The Peters took a rematch last week, and the Alpha Peters edged out the average Peters in a close battle. I think that's a rivalry we're going to see for years to come, and a lot of close battles. But the Alpha Peters got the better of this one.
Yeah, he remains the Alpha, and although I do feel like the average Peters, he put to rest the whole Mongo division attempt, renaming attempt.
Yeah, that I do appreciate. They will stay the Levy division.
Yeah. No one wants a smelly manga. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Moving on, we can.
Your battle with Alec. You both put up some huge point totals, and as you noted in our show rundown, you are no longer the 2 lowest scoring point totals in the league. That I have the honor of being one of those, and Charlie has the honor of being the other, based off 2 paltry performances last week. But that battle against Alec turned out to come down to the wire. Tell me about it. What'd you think?
It was quite stressful. Tuesday Night Football. And just going into after Sunday, watching Mike Williams have the greatest game of his life, hanging 2 touchdowns, 110 yards, on me, and I don't know, I'm not a Mike Williams believer. I think he's trash. I think most people do. Always hurt, but of course he goes up and puts a crazy game, which I was up 50 going into Monday, and watching Mike Williams do that. And then Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns. Didn't get much going on the ground, though, which was great. So
Yeah.
squeaked it out. And then, of course, on my side, watching Brandon Cooks on my bench go off for 130 yards or whatever it was very frustrating after watching him put up zero point 0.8 points last week. So felt good though. It did feel good not to have the lowest point total anymore. So.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. Congratulations on your 2-3 start. Turning around that record. We'll see where you go from here. You made a lot of moves, and we'll see if they pay off. So,
yeah, it's always nice to get a win after making
after a trade and seeing the guy that you traded for, like CeeDee Lamb, put up some big points.
Yep. Yeah, I should not have started Tyler Boyd against Baltimore, but that was an oversight by me. But what are you gonna do? I was not about
Who
to
would you have
start
started? Cooks?
Yeah, I would not have. That would have been ridiculous. That would have been terrible. So
so I'm not sure you
160 yards and a touchdown. That's crazy. But hopefully he gets going. So we'll see. And yeah,
sure.
and also Kittle had a less than great game. With Garoppolo's struggles, so it was nice to ship that off, and then it was also nice to see Jonnu Smith have a great game, even though I was unwilling to start him this week just because I was not sure if Tuesday was going to happen.
I understand.
So.
All right, let's move into our news and notes section of the show. Waiver wire updates, trade block review. Kelly shouted fire sale this week. What are you thinking here? What's going on with Kelly's team, and where is she going from here? It's been a very, very rough start. She's 1-4.
Yeah, if you click into her team, we'll see. I still contend that this is one of the best rosters in our league, and it has been a very frustrating start for her. And even more frustrating for me because I'm playing her this week. No one has really, bit on her offer to trade quite literally her entire team except for Ronald Jones and potentially Adam Thielen. I was hoping for people to start to pilfer this a little bit more, and it makes no sense.
I think Kelly's got some question marks, right? Adam Thielen on a very bad team, still a great asset.
He's still like a top 5 wide receiver in the league right now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think
he's top 3.
Odell Beckham, the same thing, right? A good wide receiver on a bad team in an offense that hasn't. The Lamar Jackson thing is the problem, right? Lamar just has not performed up to the level that we're used to seeing him perform off of last year. And that's, some of the throws that he's made recently in that Cincinnati game were pretty bad. So I don't know. You got to have faith that Lamar is going to turn this around. And that Baltimore, they're 4-1. The only team they lost to is the best team in the league. So it's not like they're bad, but fantasy-wise, he's had a rough go of it.
Yeah, not topping 300 yards once this season is rough. Not that he's been the biggest passer, but I think he's also had struggling running as well. So
this is a good time for us to bring into the conversation the biggest move in the NFL this week, the Le'Veon Bell signing. So Kelly is the owner of Le'Veon Bell. I think, I don't know what you are thinking about this, but I think this hurts her more than it hurts Clyde Edwards-Helaire owners. And in our league, it's Bill. I really think this is a kind of the death knell of Le'Veon Bell. I think he'll be used in spots in Kansas City, but I don't see this as him taking over Edwards-Helaire's job. I don't think that's what's going to happen. What do you think?
Yeah, so I went out and targeted Bell in a couple leagues, and one of them, was trying to figure out a trade with Kelly, and I quite literally have nothing to offer her that's of value, and so we could not find anything worthwhile. But in another league, I did trade for him prior to the Kansas City signing, and I was quite disappointed actually when he signed there. I was hoping he would sign in Miami or Buffalo. Buffalo probably would have been the best spot as far as him becoming, workhorse and being a 3-down back. Buffalo probably would have been the best spot. And yeah, I think unfortunately it kind of relegates both Bell and Edwards-Helaire to almost, certainly RB2, possibly a flex spot even for Edwards-Helaire. I just think right now Bell is a great passing back, and so I think he will pilfer quite receptions from Edwards-Helaire and a number of runs probably down near the goal line, most specifically with Bell's size and vision. And so I think either way, it hurts both of them. And from a fantasy standpoint, obviously it scares the shit out of me with Kansas City adding yet another weapon that Mahomes and Andy Reid can scheme in.
For sure. But I guess my thought is I think Bell is going to be more of a change of pace guy, somebody that they sprinkle into their offense, but I don't see him taking huge swaths of playing time away from Edwards-Helaire. And,
No, but it might be a 60-40, 70-30.
It could be.
Bell can block, he can pass block, he can catch,
For sure.
Watching some of his, highlights, even just from the Jets, he still has that vision, and he might be a little bit slower, but he can make people miss still and find the gaps. And what I'm curious to see going forward though is, how often do they line him up in the slot, get him outside a little bit, and does he start to take reps, or receptions away from guys like Kelsey or Hill or more likely like Nicole Hardman and Robinson. So.
Well, we'll see. So the other, if we hit up the waiver wire here, the only real contested guy that went up this week was J.D. McKissick. J.D. McKissick, number 1 on the depth chart to start the season for the Washington football team. However, he is purely a passing back. Does not play more than one down per series, really. And while he's been extremely consistent, his consistency is that he scores about 7-6 points a game. He was taken by Kelly, which I get. She has to start a running back. Well, she's got to start 2 of them, and she doesn't have another one to start. So she had to pick him up, and she did win him for $19. But also we saw Josh Wings and Pizza offer 7. Fitz came in at 2, both too low. So Kelly got her man. She was going to have him no matter what, it seems like. Overbid a little bit, but I think given the circumstances with her team, she didn't have much of a choice.
Yeah. The only other one I would love to highlight is if you scroll down, it's the Arizona defense.
Yes.
Which has been shaky, with a lot of injuries. It's going up. Go up.
Right here. So I got to tell you.
Is that it? Go to Fab Offers. Yeah, there you go. Down right there, towards the bottom of your
The
screen.
Hollow Earthers.
Yeah, a number of people bidded.
That
Was
was
that last?
last
That was
week.
last week. Okay.
Here,
Yeah, we did
here's
not
what I gotta
highlight that
say.
last week.
Here's what I have to say about that. Every week I go in and I update our spreadsheet with people's fab amounts, and every week I do it. I take a look at the transactions that each team is making, and Bill has spent more money on defenses, I think, than any team in the league. He spent a total so far of $22 on defenses, picking up defenses and dropping them every week. He's picked up Cleveland and Seattle. Well, he's picked up Seattle multiple times. It's the way that they're doing business down there in Arlington Heights, or out there in Arlington Heights, where the Hollow Earthers are located. They tend to overvalue defense, I think, is what I'll say.
$15 is 3 times more money than any defense was purchased for in our draft.
Yes, indeed.
And Chicago Bears and San Francisco went for $5, and everyone else was below that.
I also want to point out one other thing. Every week when I go in and do those ad drops, Fitz has made more transactions this year than any other team. He was the only person. I made a block of, I think, 12 ad slots in our database, and Fitz blew through that last week, and I have consistently been having to add spots for him every week in that database, really making the most of his fab.
It's gotta stay active, you know.
I guess
they
so.
say that an active team, an active team does well. So,
indeed.
Yeah.
All right. So trades this week. Did you want to hit those?
Pretty minimal, quick? Right? Wasn't it just Peter, the Alpha Peter? He was trying to beef up his kicking slot and went after. Went after Justin Tucker there. So,
well, we also had involved in that was the Mo Alley Cox, who and the Debo Samuel.
Is he out?
Yeah. So it looks like is officially not playing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think the Debo Samuel was a great get for Kelly. Perhaps he's someone that she'll look towards in the future to keep. But in talking to Alpha Peter, he was really targeting Justin Tucker to sort of solidify his lineup and try and get the most out of each position. And so, smart move. I mean, he's got championship on the brain, and as the number 2 in our league standings, he's making the right moves, and I do think that leads us right into our look ahead on the of next week, and
let's get to our final section.
Number 2, the Alpha Peter, he's going up against number 3, Thoughts and Prayers. Finally going to give Ken a little moment in the spotlight here, who's played himself to 3-2. He's 3rd in the league. Put up a whopping 140 points last week, and he made a big move too to get Kelsey, trading Terry McLaurin away, and Jameson Crowder, I believe, too. So,
yeah. What are you thinking for this matchup? Who's your pick?
I think it's kind of tough. I think. Looking at it, I do think Ken's got a pretty good shot. Obviously, starting Cousins is a little bit worrisome, but the Woods-Ridley combo is great. I think Kelsey, Madison as flex is a great move. I think, looking at how Mike Davis has performed without CMC and how Madison performed last week when Cook went down, it's potential for a big game there. So
for sure, yeah. Cook is out, I believe, officially this week. He's got Metcalf on a bye, which will hurt a little bit, not too much. He's got Robert Woods in there.
Yep. And I mean, Peter's got Lockett and Carson on a bye too, so they're both heavily invested in Seattle, which makes sense as to why they're playing so well.
For sure.
Both are dealing with buys right now. I think Ken's team is a little bit deeper though on the.
I would agree. I'd agree with that.
Ken's,
the only real weakness Ken has right now is his quarterback slot with Stafford and Cousins. That's something he could look to address.
Just looking at his team now, I have noticed that he does not have a kicker or a defense in there just yet. So
I trust that he'll update that before Sunday. I think
for sure, which I think would give him the edge too there. But as far as at least the projected point totals, which no one really believes in anyway, but
for sure, I think it looks like, I mean, he's got an extra roster spot. We'll see what he does with it. He's got Chase Claypool on the bench this week, and we'll see if he stays with that. I mean, I think you start Madison over Claypool if Cook is out and Cook's out. So
guaranteed touches, yeah. I'm most excited to see, real quick, the Kittle and Kelsey matchup here. I think that's the most exciting thing. So
for sure, two best tight ends in the league playing each other.
They both traded for him. They went out and got him, gave up great pieces. So,
yep. All right, let's wrap up with our Survivor update from the distant diving platform that's out deep in the ocean that you're all huddled up on, with the cooler that's pretty much empty at this point. You're welcoming one more person who's created a raft and has swam off or paddled off the island.
We are, and I'm very excited for this gentleman.
Who's joining us, and I think we all know.
As you mentioned, the cooler is almost empty. Beers are running low, and thank goodness we are welcoming a craft beer brewery owner, Charlie Goman. I see him in the distance. He's got 2 kegs tied to him, floating his way out. We are re-upped. It's a party again. I was drinking one of his brand new beers today, Infinity Sunshine Pale Ale, delicious. I'm pumped. And by far the lowest score in recorded history with 17.84 points.
Yes, Charlie is joining the losers off the island, but doing so with a lot of good beer. So that's one thing he's got going for him.
That leaves you and Bill and Steve and Josh and Ken and Peters. I think that's everyone, and still fighting out for Survivor, which is great. And Fitz is still on.
Bill. Yep. So so far off the island, we've got Alec, Kelly, you, John, Bill, and now Charlie.
Yep.
So that leaves a good 7 people still partying, still trying to take home that crown.
Yeah, it's really great to have the number 1 seed and number 1 in the league and the number 12 in the league, both off the island. So,
if you're gonna pick a team real quick to be kicked off the island this week, who would you pick?
I'm going to go you. You put up a paltry 68 points last week.
That's a very good call. I think I might be the person getting kicked off the island this week. Melvin Gordon likely will not play. Now he has an illness. I've got a ton of guys on buys, including Keenan Allen and Michael Thomas. And the injuries have just been devastating with Deontay Johnson out this week. So I think I'm a good bet for.
Not look good.
I'm also starting quite a few Cowboys, so we'll see how that first Andy Dalton start works out.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Rose Tackle Football Show. We've enjoyed bringing it to you, a weekend edition. John, thanks as always.
This was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
All right.
It's nice to do a Friday.
Indeed. It's good. It's a good Friday. All right, everybody. Have a nice weekend, and we will see you next week for the
Adios.
Rose Tackle Football Show.